Welcome to this September 26th virtual family affair from the Bronx Museum. My name is Nell, and today with me we have Patrick.
Nice to meet you. I'm Patrick. I'm the Director of Education at the Bronx Museum.
As well as one of our educators, Aurelio.
Hello, 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 hello.
And so this is actually the first, we've been doing these virtual family affairs for a few months now, but this is the first one we've had since the Bronx Museum has reopened. So Patrick is actually in our galleries right now, showing off the show we have that opened a few weeks ago, Sanford Biggers Code Switch. And we are open to the public once more, but we're observing protocols that are a little different in order to ensure that everybody is safe. So if you would like to come to the museum, we remain totally free of charge to visit, but we do ask that you make a reservation to visit. And you can just check out our website, bronxmuseum.org, and go ahead and do that. Great. So these are, again, some pieces by Sanford Biggers, and both of the two art activities that we do today are going to be inspired by these works. So without further ado, Aurelio, you can go ahead and introduce us to what we'll be doing.
Thank you, Nell. Hi, everyone. And today we're going to do a bigger activity, as Nell said, inspired on Sanford Biggers and his artwork, but specifically the artwork that he created in the last 10 years on quilts. But before we move on to that, what I usually do at the museum when we have tours, when we have interactions with groups, I make people pair up and do an activity. But the activity is called Colombian Hypnosis. It's just a fun theater activity, and I usually start showing how we're gonna do it. But in this case, I'm going to have you follow me. And the idea is that you follow me, you follow the palm of my hand. Wherever he goes, you go, okay? So I'm gonna move it very slowly so you can move around and you can follow it with your body, with your eyes, with your movements, okay? So we're gonna start, and I just like you to follow me as the hand moves on the screen, but not with your hand. Follow me with your eyes and your body, okay? So you're gonna go like following, like in this case would be like something like this, okay? So you're gonna follow me on the screen, and as we go, you're gonna move up, and then it's like moving around, going down and up, and then sideways. And when I do it live, people kind of dance because they are kind of standing. So, good, great. So now what I like you to do, if you are with somebody at home or where you are seeing this program, I would like you to stand up and face your partner, and you put your hand in front of your partner, and then you start making them follow you, just slowly, right? So you're going one way and sideways, and then you make them go like that, the other way, and then going around. It's fun to make them go all the way down to the floor, or then all the way go on tiptoe. It's like you do your own dance too as you do it. So it's a little bit of a dance. Good. Then I will tell you that then you switch. So if you were leading your partner, I will ask you to have to follow your partner and have them, put their hand, and then you follow them. And then you just go. We will do it again, like you just go around, and then you go up, down, and just, it's kind of a relaxing movement kind of thing for everyone. And thank you. What I like about the game is that when I do it, people feel like more ready to do an activity whenever I did it at the museum. So it's like a kind of icebreaker, although it's not really like an icebreaker of talking, but it's more like movement, as if movements in our body are part of our language and important to use them. Okay, good. So Sanford Biggers is a great artist. He's been around for the last 30 years. I think his art has been, he does sculptures, paintings, installations. I saw one of a piano, and out of the piano a tree was coming out and music was coming out of the piano. It's very magical stuff. But what we are going to do today, in the last 10 years, Sanford Biggers did work interventions on quilts. And the quilts many of them were antique quilts, or done maybe 100 years ago many by the Gibson. Is that right, Nell? Most of them come from that community?
So a few of them come from that community, I believe. And here's an example of what Aurelio is talking about. This is a quilt by quilters in a community called Gibson, which is in Alabama.
They are down in Alabama. Yeah, thank you. And then here you see all this incredible work of patterns, and usually that's the way people work with quilts. Do squares or triangles, and also because they are in sections. In the poorer communities, you will have pieces of fabric or old clothes, and then you could cut them and build and make an actual quilt from the old clothes that belong to the family. So in any rate, there are some that are antique and all kinds of quilts that Sanford Biggers acquires and creates these beautiful works by doing interventions on the quilts. So he does sometimes, this is beautiful because this is one great work of art. It's a sculpture. He made the sculpture with wood, and then he covered it with, cut the quilts and then put them on the sculpture. So it becomes a three-dimensional, a beautiful and powerful three-dimensional work. And here it's addressing the United States of America because of the flag. Now, something very important about Sanford Biggers is that he really works with his strong African-American culture and heritage. He's a great American artist, but he's also working with this beautiful culture emerging stronger and stronger in our communities in the United States. So as an artist, he feels like he has to also address all the issues that belong to the African American community. But in any rate, he does his artwork and intervenes in the quilts as an artist. He just paints them, puts all kinds of beautiful colors. He uses some of his symbols that he constantly uses in his artwork, like a bonsai tree, like the piano. But he also is just totally free. And that's what I love his art. He's still a free artist to say, this is beautiful and we're gonna make it. And that's what we're gonna think about it when we create today's artwork. We are going to be free with it. And we're gonna now move on to our table and start working with the materials. So if you have your materials ready, some of you were able to get materials from the museum. So if you have your materials ready, bring them out. And I'm gonna take 30 seconds, 45 seconds to just install my camera towards my working table, okay? So in the meantime, Nell, maybe you can show a couple of the works, a few more works of the quilts. Good, okay.
Sure. So, and Patrick was showing some of us the quilts, which are behind him in the galleries themselves. And again, if you can and would like to come to the museum and see them, I would really encourage it because a lot of the texture of the quilts and some of the details are much easier to see in person. But again, we can just look for a little bit at the works that Aurelio was talking about before. And again, it's hard to get an idea of the size when you're just looking at this share, but some of the quilts are really, really large, and seeing that size is really interesting. These sculptures made out of quilts are different sizes as well.
Okay, so here we are. And I just have to turn the camera. I apologize. Let me see where, oh, here. There it is. Okay.
Wonderful.
Is this, should I zoom the image or is this good? Is this okay?
Maybe we could come a little bit closer, but that's pretty good, I think.
Let me try. Now it's gonna be a problem.
That's okay, that'll be fine.
That's okay?
Yeah.
All right. This is a final product of an idea. I cut different papers. I just placed them around the work of art. I did stripes. I cut a heart. This one is in your art kit. This red tissue paper. But the idea is just to create freely something beautiful. And this is one last, just a sample of what things may look like. Here we have the art material. I have some magazine materials. And they are cut in squares. I have these golden materials. I have some sequins and some buttons. I have these beautiful squares and stripes. So that's pretty much my art material. And then we're gonna begin cutting. But so we need this place free, and I'm going to just move my paper and be ready to work here. Okay, so I'm gonna work on that paper. Is this, okay, so we are good, right? Yes, okay. So I would like you to start taking some of the square paper. And before we move on, we are going to need scissors and any size of scissors. Glue, we can use the glue sticks that we provided. But if you're at home, you can just use regular glue. What I did with this glue, I put regular glue and then put a drop, maybe 3 drops of water to make it a little lighter so that it's easier to work with. If you have a brush, you can use a brush, you can use your fingers just to spread the glue, or you can use a glue stick, okay? Nell, how are we doing with time?
Good. We got about 15 minutes.
Oh, good, perfect. So what I can do, I think a good way to start is just to grab a few of your materials, grab a few of your object, of your paper, and just place it anywhere you like. I think I'm gonna place this, and the more like at random, we're gonna put them like that, and let's glue this, okay? That would be the first step. So we're going to, oh, this is a Halloween paper, but on the other side it's pretty good. So, so that's the first thing I'd like you to do. Just the papers, begin gluing them any way you like. Just, you know, it can be spontaneous. That's how many abstract artists work. I believe that's how Sanford Biggers may work. Although it truly, I hear that a lot of his quilt work and paintings, he will take a long time and will live through the process. But it's still good to take a shorter time. And the idea is just to live in through the process also as we see what we are doing here. So there we are. I'm gonna glue this fabric. This is a very light fabric that is on your kit, on your art kits. And just place it right here. Good. How's everybody doing? Are we doing it? So any square piece, just the whole piece, just I'm gonna put it here. Good, I'm gonna set it maybe here. Then you can use more glue.
And Aurelio, the glue that you're using, how quickly does that dry?
Like regular glue. Well, it may take a little bit longer. It's just that it's not that good for bigger objects, but for paper it's quite fine. You will, maybe in an hour everything will be dry. It takes a little bit longer because it's with water. I think half hour, actually.
Okay.
In other words, you can carry it, yeah, after a half hour of working with it. Okay, then I would like you to grab other pieces of paper. I got these two. I got this beautiful paper. I got some magazine paper too. I'm gonna cut a circle on this magazine paper. I'm just gonna make a circle. If you guys can do that, cut me a circle in one of your papers. And just set it anywhere you like. It's not a perfect circle. We are fine. Let's see. I got this golden paper. Let's cut it right like this and make two triangles. We can leave one triangle here, maybe one triangle at the bottom. So we begin like distributing things as they are on your compositional field in your paper here. This one, I'm going to cut stripes. These are really cool because the stripes kind of connect every forms that you have. So let's do that. So you grab another paper and cut in stripes, that's terrific. We can begin gluing those stripes. Let's see. I'm gonna maybe to here, maybe to here. One in the middle here, maybe two horizontal. So if that looks good to you, we continue gluing. So I'm going to just
And Aurelio, we have about 10 more minutes.
okay, good. So we are distributing things as we go, and I like the stripes because they connect each of the surfaces or how would you say, materials or papers, and so that's what we'll do.
Great. I like the stripes.
Yeah, they're
Me
really
too.
cool. Yeah, they feel like they connect all my forms.
Yeah, and the stripes that you've done, because you're doing them kind of in the sets of two, to me, it looks a little bit like an equal sign.
Could you say that again, Nell? They look like...
Yeah, so when you have a pair of the stripes like that in parallel lines next to each other, it looks like an equal sign.
Yeah. Oh, I see. Yes, yes. It has. It can become a symbol, and that's a beautiful thing. That's what that Sanford Biggers does a lot. You know, uses these simple forms or lines, and they're very symbolic of things. So yes. Let's see. I'm gonna put this here. This paper kind of falls a little bit, so I'm gonna put more glue. And more glue here. Good. So we're doing very well. I like to show you what I can do with this circle. I'm going to cut it in half and then cut it in fourths. And then it becomes a circle, but it has a different feeling to it when you put it separately with space in between. Let's see, like that.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, this
That's
is
cool.
jumping. So let's do that, and I'm gonna put some other material here, and another here. And then there's another beautiful thing I like to show my kids, how to make a heart. And it's just very simple. You have a piece of paper like this, you fold it in half, and you're gonna draw half of the heart, like this. Can you see?
Yeah.
And then you will cut it. You will cut the line. And then you will have the heart right here. I'm gonna put it right in the middle. Isn't that great? Oh my God. Okay, so that's my heart here. In the kit that you picked up at the museum, there is these beautiful squares that are already cut, but you can always cut the squares on the stripes. But I already have them cut, and all I have to do is just kind of put them around these beautiful sweet colors or soft colors. So I'm gonna put 4 of this, and I'm just going to glue them. The brush and the water glue is really useful because it's not that thick and it's really simpler and easier to use. Good. I have some mirrors which are in your kit. So there are little mirrors. They actually are stickers, and all you have to do is take out the paper. Let's see if yes. And actually, I'm gonna put my mirror right in the middle of my heart. Isn't that cool? Yay, okay. So are a few things that you may have, like I have these 2 stripes, and then we're going to stop. So I've been working like kind of a little bit like on drive, on an automatic, but at the same time, I'm looking at my work and thinking what things will look beautiful where, and that's what I'm doing, okay? Need more blue here. Okay, so now we are ready to do the next step, which is like doing the intervention. Sanford Biggers will get paint, and we're talking about larger canvases, and he will just paint or things over. Instead, we're gonna use crayons and a marker. With a marker, we can draw stitches. I'm gonna draw some stitches here. I'm gonna draw like these kind of lines. They're like these stitches on my paper. And so I'm gonna draw stitches here. So this is a marker. If you don't have a marker, a pencil will do, or any color that you have. So I'm doing some stitches. I'm gonna do more here in this golden paper. Let's do something else. I like doing crosses too. Crosses is also part of the stitch that some quilts use. So I'm just gonna play with that, and just do a few of these. Yes, Nell? How are we doing?
Good. We got 4 more minutes.
Oh, great. So now let's do circles. I love doing the circles around. And here, like I'm really playing with things. Maybe a circle here.
Oh, Aurelio, I love the X's.
Could you say that again?
I love the crosses you've made.
Oh, thank you. They're really cool. And now I'm gonna get my crayon and just draw lines. I'm gonna draw like lines around it, and just to make fun of make things fun. I'm making an arrow here. I'm making a circle. Maybe I'm gonna paint a little bit of yellow here. Just play with that. Let's see. Maybe a little bit of yellow here. I got this great green, this green crayon. So maybe I'll paint some green here. I like the freedom with which Sanford Biggers works. And also very important to say that he is a jazz musician. He's a jazz player. And it's because, especially when we're doing abstract art, there's something improvisational about doing, like every color is sound and music. So I understand now why Sanford does improvisation with his music, just like he does in his paintings. So this is just a beautiful thing to do. And I'm thinking, or I'm not thinking, I'm kind of saying, here it goes, and know that the green will go well, as if you're playing a note. So anyway, we are about to be finished. I'm gonna do a wiggly line round here, and then I'm done.
Beautiful.
I'm gonna lower my camera.
And for everybody who is participating at home or watching this later, of course, when we do Family Affair in person, we love to see all of the beautiful artwork that participants make. So please feel free to take a picture of anything that you've created and send it to education@bronxmuseum.org. We would love to see it.
Oh, that's beautiful, Nell. Nice work. Patrick, let's see your work.
I'm holding it up. You see it?
Oh my God.
Yep.
That's masterful.
Yep.
And you can see the work in the background of Patrick's. That's really cool.
I wonder if anyone would notice if I put this on the wall. If they would think,
you should try and give it to the gallery.
yeah.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Aurelio.
A lot of fun. Thank you, Aurelio.
Great.
So I'm gonna stick around and do your activity now.
Great.
Yeah, so now for the second half, we're going to do an art activity called Send a Message, where we're going to be making cards that we can give people or actually mail to somebody. So first, I'm going to give everybody a moment to just get your materials set up or take a break, stretch. And then we're going to start by reading a story and then do some crayon drawing and watercolors. So if you picked up the art supply kit at the museum, what you'll want now is one of the pieces of cardstock, so that's the harder paper. You'll also want your set of watercolors and a brush and any number color of crayons.
Crayons, okay.
You also want one other piece of paper. This could be the back side of one of the pattern papers, scrap paper, anything. It's just to write down some ideas. And if you didn't pick up a kit and you need to substitute for any of that, you can use any kind of white paper for the card itself, but the thicker the better. And if you don't have watercolors, you can use a little bit of water with some food coloring. What's really important is just that it's a more watery material because we're going to draw on this with crayon, and then the watercolor or whatever your substitute is will go over it, but the crayon will resist and it's going to look cool.
Awesome.
Yeah, great. So again, take a moment and gather your supplies. You're also, if you're using watercolor especially, going to want some water so that you can clean your brush off and mix colors. And because we are using paints, you might want to cover your whole workstation with some sort of newspaper or something else, but that's up to you. Okay, so hopefully you've gathered your materials. If not, you can grab them at any point, but we're going to start off just by reading this book, which we'll sometimes do at family affairs or other activities. So this is called A Line Can Be, and I just want us to start thinking about what we can represent and show with a single line. And as you listen and look at the pictures, if you want, you can take your hand and trace any of the lines that you see. You can do it together with another person if you're with somebody right now. So a line can be hard or soft, simple, or complicated. It can go up, down, and down. It can be thick or thin. So we saw a lot of these different kinds of thick and thin lines in some of the pieces by Sanford Biggers, and we can keep looking out for them. It can go above or below. It can be easy or tricky, or clean or messy. So if you want, yeah, you can show us what the clean line looks like and then your depiction of what the messy line looks like. It can be straight or curvy. The line can be happy or sad. So what do you think is happy and sad about these? If you make it with your finger, or you can try and make those shapes with your mouth, just like you and me.
Great, thank you.
Okay, great. So now we're going to go ahead into the activity. And again, we're going to be making cards. So that can be a postcard. In that case, we're going to leave it like this. Or it can be a greeting card, so you can fold it in half, whatever way you'd like. So I'm going to make a greeting card. So I'm folding this in half. And what we put on these cards, because of our new show, is going to be inspired by some of these pieces by Sanford Biggers. So go ahead and get that piece of scrap paper, not this paper, save this, and then something to write with. I'm going to show, by sharing my screen, 2 different artworks by Sanford Biggers. So here's the first one. So this is one of Sanford Biggers' quilt pieces that he's added paint and collage shapes to. And so we're just going to look at this artwork for about 1 minute. Go ahead and really try and notice as many details as you can about it. You can share what you see with whoever you're with. What do you notice about it? What do you think is unusual or that you find interesting? And whenever you'd like in this minute, I'm going to ask you to just write down 3 words that this piece makes you think of on your paper. Okay, and take another 30 seconds or so. If you haven't written down any of your words, you might want to start. Anything that you notice or that this piece makes you feel. And just a few more seconds. Okay, great. So feel free to share any of the words that you associated with this piece in the chat, but we're gonna move on to the second piece that we're looking at. And again, so here's the second quilt. We're just gonna take 1 minute. Just look really closely at this piece. What do you notice? What does it make you think of? What shapes and colors do you see? And again, write down 3 words that you associate with it. You can also write more words if you like. And it's about halfway, so 30 more seconds. And finish up. Great. So I hope you enjoyed looking at those pieces and that they brought up some images and words for you. I see in the chat some of the words people came up with were things like joy, glow, star, universe, memory, comfort, magic, fireworks, color show. So any words that you associated with these are great. And this is also an exercise that you can do anytime, especially whenever you're in a museum and you want to just focus on a few different pieces. So now I'm going to ask you to look at these words that you wrote down for each artwork and pick one word that you want to make the focus of your card. So just take a few moments. If there's one word that really excites you or that you feel like is a really visual word that you would be excited to put on the front of a card, you can pick that one. And go ahead and circle the word you're going to focus on. Awesome. So now we're going to go back to these pieces of cardstock that we have. And you're going to take one or more of the crayons and write the word that you picked on the front of your card. If you'd like, you can practice on the scrap paper or you can use a pencil first, but you can also just go for it with the crayons. And this can be in any style that you want. So think about using a style to write with that makes you think of the word in some way. So the word that I picked is fireworks. So I'm going to use one of the more colorful crayons that I have, and I'm going to try and write it in this very jagged way that makes me think of fireworks.
I chose magic, and so I'm going to make something that looks kind of magical and glowing.
Nice. And you can really use whatever crayons you have. If you have a bunch of different colors, you can mix it up and use as many as you want. You can also just use the one. But it is really important that you're using a crayon for this, for when we bring in the watercolors.
So you want us to paint the word?
You're going to draw the word with crayon.
Oh, okay.
I'm drawing mine. It's in a hard color to see, but I'm making it as big as I can.
Oh, nice. Yeah. And so this is the other color that I have. I have two different greens, so I'm going to outline my word in this green. Once you've written your word, you can go ahead and still with crayons. It's important that it be crayon, but otherwise you can do anything you'd like to decorate the front of the card. So you can go ahead and embellish or add to the letters that you already have. You can draw designs. I'm going to add some fireworks in crayon. Just make sure that you're using crayon. So I went ahead and outlined in a different color, and now I'm going to draw some fireworks and maybe other shapes, again with the green crayon that I have. And as you're adding to this, which we're going to do for just another minute or two, if you want some inspiration of how to decorate your card once you've written the word, you can go back and look at some of these pieces by Sanford Biggers and use a shape that you see in that work, maybe be inspired by some of his colors. So I'm gonna go ahead and draw a green triangle shape like that one because this was the piece that made me think of fireworks. Or if you want, you can take a shape from this other piece. So maybe one of those jagged lines or the stripes. So you can decorate your whole card around the word. Just make sure you've left at least some blank space for when we bring in the watercolor in just a minute. Great. How are we doing?
Pretty good. I think I'm ready for my watercolor. I think I have enough.
Awesome. Yeah, so if you're still finishing up your word, no worries, you can keep doing that. But because we don't have that much time left, we're going to move on to the last part of decorating the front of this card, which, as Patrick just said, is bringing in our watercolors. So what's going to happen now is we're going to paint over our word and whatever designs we have with any colors we want to use or mix. But the crayon material actually resists the watercolor. So I can paint over this whole card and you're still going to be able to see my words. It'll just go everywhere that there isn't crayon, which is pretty cool and something that you can experiment with further. Whenever you want to use crayons and watercolors together, just make sure you do the crayon first. Great, so I have a lot of green on this. So I want to bring in a little bit of orange and yellow because that makes me think of fireworks and bright things. So I'm gonna take some yellow from my kit and just paint it over here. And you can see that the crayon is resisting totally. It just repels the water. So you can still see that entire F. So I'm gonna use even more yellow without as much water and just go over the whole word and see what that looks like. So after I just used the yellow, here's what that looks like. So I'm really happy you can still see my word and all of the designs. And now I'm just gonna think about what other watercolor colors I wanna mix and add to this card, which is the last step. And so again, you might wanna be inspired by some of the colors we see in these works because this is a great time to bring in a lot of color. So I'm gonna add some blues and greens from looking at this piece. And you can just paint the background in whatever colors you want, but you can also make shapes in the watercolor. So I'm gonna do kind of a jagged zigzag like I see here. And so with watercolors, the more water you have on your brush, the lighter it's gonna be. So that's what happened with this blue. And then this, I just wet my brush a little bit and use some more solid color to get that darker. And so here I see that zigzag is these blue and black stripes, and then he added another color to make the shape look almost three-dimensional. So I'm gonna do that with a little bit of purple. And it looks like this. I do still have some white areas on my card, and I want to add a little more color to them. So I'm going to pick red because I haven't really used that yet. But you can also leave any white that you want to. Okay. And now I think my blue is dry enough that I'm gonna try to actually paint some black lines on this shape that are again inspired pretty directly by this quilt. And just like we were doing with Aurelio's activity, what's really great about this kind of project and anything where we're inspired by these collages is that you can always add more, and you might decide that you think you're done, but you can always return to it later. You can add more watercolor or other kinds of paint on top of whatever you have. A next step for this could even be to let the paint dry and then cut out some shapes from the paper we were using before and glue those on. It's really any materials that you want to use, and there are no wrong answers. Beautiful. How are you doing, Aurelio?
Good. Shall I show you?
Yeah, if you don't mind, that would be great. Oh, I love it.
Oh, wow, look at that. Amazing.
Thank you.
So Aurelio, your word was universe, and so you really were inspired by the word, and you painted a kind of a universe. And the
Yes.
stars. Oh, that's beautiful. So
great
here's
work.
the firework,
Nice.
and Patrick's word was magic.
Yeah, mine's a little weird. It's a little abstract.
But that's great.
That is magic.
Yeah, so I love that we have a real variety, because you could go in one direction and be very inspired in an abstract way and really try to make the card capture the feelings that these pieces and that word gave you. But you can also make your card be an illustration of whatever your word is, like Aurelio's universe. So hopefully you find a little bit of inspiration in this. And of course, the next step, you're gonna wanna wait till this dries because you were using wet paint. But the next step is to think about somebody special that you would wanna make and give a card to. So it could be somebody that this word or these pieces makes you think of, or somebody that you wanna send a special message to, that you wanna feel more connected with, especially during the pandemic. And just send them this note. You can tell them about your experience today, or looking at these works, or anything that you like. So thank you so much.
And just as a reminder, the Bronx Museum is open to visitors. So if you want to come see us and see this exhibition of Sanford Biggers, please visit bronxmuseum.org. And there's instructions on how to reserve time to come in. We're still always free, and we'd love to see you here.
Thank you.
Thank you, Patrick. And also a reminder that for the rest of 2020, so in October, November, and December, we'll be having 3 more online family affair events. So just like this, they'll be over Zoom and all virtual. But as we did for the first time this month, we will be putting together bags of the art supplies that we recommend you use, and you can come pick them up at the museum. So it's totally optional, just like it was today, but we will have that available. And if you have any questions about anything, or like we said, you want to share anything that you made today, you can always email us at education@bronxmuseum.org, which I just put in the chat.
Great.
So great. Thank you so much, everybody. And we hope to see you soon online and at the museum.
Thank you, Neil. Thank you.
Thanks,
It was
Aurelio.
wonderful to do this watercolor. Thank you,
Oh,
guys.
great. Yeah, thank you so much, Aurelia. And thanks
Thank you.
everybody who joined us. Have a great rest of your weekend.
Bye.
Bye.